You know, that Old Testament reading is special to me. You see, Lynn took a jewelry course in college. And so when we were engaged, we thought it'd be a great idea to run down to her college and go make some rings. And she had this neat idea. What if we made 2 rings that were 1 ring? And so we ordered the gold, and we went down there, and we made the 2 shall become 1 rings. It's a special ring. And I thought that was the reason why it was a good visual reminder of what marriage is. The 2 shall become 1. I had no idea. You see, we'd been married for less than a month. We got married in August. It was Labor Day, and I was being the good young husband, and it just started bothering me that we had so many leaves on our yard. So I went out one Sunday afternoon after my holy nap and got out the rake and raked up the yard. And my neighbor next door saw me raking up the yard, and he raked his yard too. And we'd got this huge pile of leaves and put them in the back of the truck I had at the time. And my vicarage supervisor had a farm. And he said, "Well, Peter, why don't you just dump them off? I've got this brunch pile on the back of my property. Why don't you just dump the leaves back there?" So we drove my truck down and dumped the leaves out. Then just relaxed with Lynn the rest of that day. We went to Blockbuster and got a movie and went to a couple other places. And about halfway through the movie, I was lying there, and all of a sudden, I had this unnerving sensation. All of a sudden, my hand felt strangely bare. Felt no ring. Uh-oh. So I waited till the end of the movie, and sure enough, there was no ring. It didn't just fall off on the couch. We began to tear the house apart, and we went outside and looked in the car under the seats, got our flashlights out. It's starting to get dark, but boy, we couldn't we had no idea where the ring was. So, and these were handmade rings. I mean, this isn't something you can just automatically replace. Well, we went down and we went to Blockbuster, and we looked under every single rack in the entire store. No ring. We looked in the store we'd been to had closed, so we looked in the parking lot with a flashlight. No ring. And boy, there weren't a lot of options left here, and it wasn't looking good, but we said, all right, tomorrow morning we'll go back when the store's open and we'll ask. And so Monday morning, bright and early, as soon as they opened, I went into the store, and they said, "Sorry, sir, we've had no rings turned in." There was only one place left: the brush pile. I could tell, and you can too, at that point, that I was in need of forgiveness. You know, our gospel reading, Jesus is talking to a crowd. He's moved on since our last week's gospel reading, and he's teaching them. And the Pharisees, they've got a great idea. They're going to corner Jesus. They've got this great question: is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife? And Jesus asks, "What did Moses command you?" And then Jesus returns that, and after they say what Moses commanded, then Jesus says that this is because of the hardness of their hearts, and that the two shall be one flesh. And he really pushes them. And later on, the disciples ask for more, and Jesus continues to teach them. And then he uses this most eloquent of all illustrations of the unity in marriage. He uses a child. And he says, whoever doesn't receive the kingdom of God as a little child will never enter it. But what was going on back then is still going on now. You see, there were two very different approaches to marriage. One of them is the anything goes approach. See, back then, because of that, the allowing of divorce, the Jews taught that a man could divorce his wife for pretty much anything he wanted to. He didn't like dinner? Sorry, dear. It was not a good situation. In fact, if another guy liked another man's wife, he could just go to that guy and tell him things that he wouldn't like about his wife so that he'd divorce her, and then, oh, hey, how's it going? Not a good situation here. And we see some of that. You don't have to look too far to see some of that going on today. When I just heard the other day about this whole yours, mine, and ours approach to finances. If you're blending a marriage together, then you automatically set up separate bank accounts so that it's easier when the inevitable divorce comes. So the idea there is that you have a divorce-friendly marriage. Something's not stirring the Kool-Aid there. And, there's this whole idea of starter marriages that, you don't just marry someone for better or for worse, for richer or for poorer, in sickness and in health. No, you get a starter marriage and you marry someone fun for your young years. And then when you need to settle down and have kids, then you marry someone responsible. But when you're done with that, if it doesn't work out, you can always just marry someone fun again and go have fun again in your retirement. And that's the same thing going on then and now. There's something else, though, going on. The other approach, what I like to call the cookie cutter approach. Now, I have fond memories of cookie cutters because my mom and I would bake cookies. And I remember you'd put the cookie cutter in the flour, and then you press it down into the dough, and you get this neat shape, whether it be a helicopter or an airplane or a Christmas tree or a Santa. And before long, you'd have this whole baking sheet of perfectly shaped cookies. It works great for cookies. It doesn't work well for our approach to marriage. Because whenever we start excluding people on the basis of their marriage or lack thereof, whenever we fail to minister to people because they're a single parent or because they're divorced, we've got it mixed up. That's the problem with the cookie cutter approach. The cookie cutter approach cookie cutters are great, but they only work on the outside shape of the cookie. They don't change what's going on inside. And so, when we take that cookie cutter approach to marriage, if there's only one way marriage can be, and if you don't fit our expectations, then sorry, you need not apply. But there's something worse about the cookie cutter approach. You see, a cookie cutter doesn't change the dough. It doesn't change the very heart of the cookie.